The special effects, just like in the prequels, were spot on. The visuals were amazing. I will give it that. And they had a lot of new ideas. J.J. Abrams was good at that. It was dynamic in a lot of ways. The opening scenes, at the very least, were promising. They had, they had the music on point, as usual. They had the new stormtroopers looked more professional. They sounded more professional. They didn't look as I mean, they're still shiny, but they didn't look as plastic as the older ones. They moved more efficiently. They actually felt like a violent military force. You know, they had flamethrowers. They had new gear. They just like straight into it. Just wow, these guys are strong and they're evil. This is a force to be reckoned with. It got a bit silly after that, but it was a good first impression, especially when they were establishing Kylo Ren as the new big bad guy, and then one of the first things he does is he gets shot at, and similar to when Darth Vader was on Bespin and Han Solo shoots at him, and Darth Vader just blocks it with his fist, the palm of his hand rather.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, he can stop lasers with his hand. It's like, whoa. And then Kylo Ren takes it a step further.
I didn't see which film was that one in, because I think I missed that one.
That was Empire Strikes Back, where Han Solo gets frozen later. It was a very quick scene, so if you'd only seen it one time and you're not really looking for it, you can kind of like skip it really easily, I guess.
So I just watched The Force Awakens. I think I don't think I've seen the other two. So
this is the original trilogy with
Darth
Vader.
Okay.
So yeah, and then happens at the very beginning of Force Awakens. Kylo Ren gets shot at by Poe Dameron, the new kind of Han Solo scoundrel kind of character, and he, instead of blocking, like he grabs it out of thin air, just holds the plasma blast or the light blast or whatever, the blaster bolt with the Force, and just holds it there, and it's like, that's a cool visual. That's like, whoa, that's something. It's a new take at least, and it looks cool and it feels cool. It's like, oh, that's good. It starts out strong,
Yeah.
They just didn't capitalize on it as much. It kind of speaks of a lot of the problems.
So we'll get into what you didn't like.
Yeah, sadly, there's a lot, but yes. And I mean, generally, the main thing is like it's more Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's just great to have. It's like, oh, cool, we have more after so long, and maybe they'll have a new story. So there was hope. It was a new hope, so to speak. And I like the new ships at first.
Yeah. At first? Why at first?
Because it becomes obvious very quickly that they're just rehashes of what we've had before.
Right, okay.
First order. I mean, there are some exceptions, good and bad. Generally, it's like, oh, at first it's also like, oh, cool, it's more of the same. Yay, I like that. I like the same thing as before. Then it doesn't quite hold up as well overall.
Yeah.
And at best it doesn't hold up. At worst, it's outright insulting to the previous trilogy. Especially the fans.
Okay.
And also talking about what I like. Trying to get back into Overwatch a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're still figuring it out. We're still figuring out how to have a conversation and play at the same time. And win and have a decent conversation. So it's going to take some time.
If anything, we're handicapping ourselves for the enemy team.
Yeah. It's fine. I have the flag now.
Nice. So there were a lot of cool visuals in the new movies. They did that really well, I'd say. The music was still really good. One of the new Tatooine, let's call it, on Jakku, one of the first scenes you see there is a giant. It's a lovely vista of a old destroyed, crashed, I guess, Star Destroyer.
Right.
And you get a beautiful cross section. It's a lovely scene overall. It's very cinematic. It's like, oh, this it's a good analogy of kind of what's happened in a way. The fall of the Empire, what could be more poetic than the crashed Star Destroyer opened up for everyone to see, and being gutted for all its work by what turns out to be the new character. I got blown up.
Oh, okay.
So visually, like as a movie, I would say each of the new ones is a fun watch. I enjoyed all the movies on their own. As I watched them, I had a lot of fun. Came out of them with that feeling of like, oh, that was cool. Glad I watched that. It was only after going away and reflecting when the childhood magic wore off. They got a bit, get a bit like, actually that didn't make sense. Why did they do that? Why that doesn't make any sense, or that goes against what was established previously, and it reads more like fan fiction. Star Wars, not good fan fiction either. It doesn't feel like a faithful. It doesn't feel like a faithful representation or sequel of Star Wars at all. It feels like someone's.
I can tell you're passionate about it because you got play of the game.
Sweet.
Nice.
I don't know what that Junkrat was doing. But I still shot him. Have you seen anything about Overwatch 2?
I haven't. No, I haven't actually seen anything about Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that there was an announcement, I think there was maybe a trailer. I'm not sure about a release date. It might be later on this year.
Okay. Well, I feel like a lot of people worry that it's just going to be more of the same and they're just going to charge for it.
I worry about that, yeah, because I mean, do we really need an Overwatch 2?
Not really, no. Like,
because this has been pretty fun.
Yeah, like what are they going to do? They're going to port all these heroes over. Are they going to change all of them? What are they going to add? New maps? New modes? Like, isn't that what this game needs?
Yeah, this is the thing. I don't know if changing the heroes is going to be a good move. If that is what they're doing, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you have to keep your roster of people. I mean, there's going to be competitive players that probably use certain characters that don't want to see their character removed from the game.
Yeah, it's too soon for a sequel. So either it's going to run into a similar problem with the new Star Wars. They have two options. They make something new and very different.
Yeah.
And risky, or they just rehash this one. They just reboot this one essentially. Give it a lick of new paint and kick it out the door. So it's very much the same, just different enough. It's like 10-20% different that they can call it something new and slap a new price tag on it, which is exactly what they did with new Star Wars.
Yeah, it's one of those topics.
Yeah. It's just disappointing. That's the thing. I went through the stages of grief. At first it was like, yay, new Star Wars. Then I watched them, it was like, yay, this was fun. And then you go through the process like that. Hang on a minute. Confusing. Yeah, confusion. Anger. Suffering. And then acceptance. Then one of the other problems they had with the second one. I think some people hate it, some people like the first one. I enjoyed the first one. It's like, okay, there's enough to enjoy, you know? Sorry, with Force Awakens when it first came out. It's like, okay, there's something to work in. As long as they're, building towards something. Turns out they weren't. They didn't even start actually writing the second movie until they finished the first one. And with a different director, no less. Maybe we talked about that from the first time. Still disappointing. But okay, look, we'll see what they can do. Not hopeful, but hey, there was where they're going to bring back Mark Hamill. It's always fun.
Right.
See what happens.
Yeah.
And it was great to see him on screen again, but long story short, they really assassinate his character.
In which film?
In The Last Jedi. I don't know how much you want to hear. Like, are you okay with spoilers? Or
I'm okay with spoilers, yeah.
okay, so one of the main say character trait achievements, the big things about the original trilogy is that Luke never gave up on his father, the freaking Dark Lord of the Sith, the Dark Knight of the galaxy, and still managed to redeem him in the end.
Yeah.
He didn't give up on him. One of the plot points of The Last Jedi is how he failed his student, Ben, who became Kylo Ren, because in a moment of, let's say, weakness, I guess, that's what they call it, that he was, so he goes into, he's checking on them, he feels a disturbance in the Force.
Yeah.
This is back when Ben is at the academy, his new academy, when he's teaching young Force-sensitive to be Jedi.
Yeah.
He feels a disturbance, and so he goes to check on his sees Ben having a bad dream, and it feels weird to say that, but yeah, so he sees him having a bad dream, and then for a split second, he feels such overwhelming darkness in Ben's future, and pulls out his light. He's about to kill him. He's just like, oh, I can't let this evil person. It's like this person might become Hitler in the future, so I'm going to kill them now.
Yeah.
But like he said, it was such an instinct he couldn't do anything about it. Like, I just want to kill him, this child, in his sleep. And in that moment, Ben wakes up and sees him, and sees him like with a lightsaber about to kill him, and then defends himself. And then that's the moment where he's like, "Oh, my master betrayed me. He was about to kill me." And then he runs away and gets turns to the dark side and yada yada. That's his fall from grace story.
Okay.
He wasn't becoming evil. He wasn't being tempted or anything. It was Luke kind of saw him having a bad dream, instantly wanted to kill him, and then drove him away. And it's like it's at the very best, it's just a weak way to become. I mean, you saw what happened with Anakin. He had a good character arc for the most part, and you can see how this guy would fall from the light, turn to the dark side.
Yeah.
And then this is the justification for his replacement, so to speak. He had a bad dream. He might become evil in the future. Wasn't there were no signs. There was nothing building up to this. There's no he struggled with doing the right thing. It's but he had a lot of potential, but he had some dark thoughts, or no build up whatsoever.
Right. Okay.
And then this is why
out of nowhere.
Yeah. For both him and for Luke, the guy who would never give up on the most feared man in the galaxy, still managed to redeem him. But no, sees this guy, not even evil, could possibly be evil in the future. Instantly goes to kill him. Ends up, driving him away. And then because of that guy ends up going on a murderous rampage. So it just doesn't speak well of both their characters or the writing,
So overall, not your favorite trilogy?
No, not by a long shot.
Okay.
Being objective, there are a lot of cool scenes. There's a lot of cool moments.
I'm sure there are, yeah. But at the same time, it's just your opinion as a fan, or not fan, but someone that likes the series.
As movies, people who've never seen Star Wars before, as movies, they hold up well. They're fun they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
As Star Wars movies, they should not exist. And I know there was a backlash about the prequels originally when they came out, but they one of the best things about the sequels is they've made people enjoy the prequels more by comparison. It's they weren't so bad, I guess. In a way. And there's also, I think that's the main thing, is that they wanted to try a lot of new things, and a lot of cool stuff,
Yeah.
but without having any respect for good writing, dialogue, taking the time and effort to actually do some research and build on an established universe. So they got lazy, or they went for the cheap cash grab, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Which, especially when you're dealing with such an established amount of lore, it's just downright insulting to the fans. The original fans, not the new ones, I guess. Which, I guess, they're not going for. But which doesn't make good business sense in a way. Like, these people have been spending money on Star Wars for decades, and yet you're just gonna write them all off, piss them all off, and then just leave. It just doesn't seem sustainable. Like, they could have been the ones cashing in on billions of dollars of Star Wars merchandise for the next few decades.
Yeah.
So it just, not only does it seem insulting, it's just stupid and lazy and out of touch. Just baffling, you know? There's this one scene, I think, that epitomizes this, first of all, in The Last Jedi. Again, I don't know how to describe it so well for people who haven't seen it, but for people who have seen it, it's the one near the end where they involves like a hyperspace ram, let's call it.
Yeah.
Visually and dramatically, very cool. Was amazing to watch. But it makes absolutely no sense. They didn't make any efforts to explain it, especially considering any kind of established... like, it breaks so many of their own laws, and they don't even make the effort to try and justify it at all. It's just... It's one of those things that, like, oh, if they could just do this, why didn't they do it? Why haven't they been doing this whole time? And they do that a lot. A lot of things like, oh, we're going to do it because we can't be bothered to write good plot devices. And then even if they were going to use this, this kind of like ace in the hole maneuver, it's like, why didn't they do it before everyone died? Why was this the last thing they did? For drama. Why? But it's like, it's one of those things, like, again, very cool, doesn't make sense. On, like, if they were planning to do it or if not, or I don't know, it's just... It's that just sums up the moves. It's cool, fun, doesn't make sense. It's good for kids.
Yeah.
Very dumbed down Star Wars is what I call it. I could talk more. I could continue going on, but like that's kind of what the general gist.
That's the gist of it, right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you'd be carrying like most of this conversation because I just want to kind of get your because you've seen it. The thing is, I've seen the other films, which is why I can kind of speak on it. Whereas with this, I haven't. So like, I don't want to say I don't like it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I probably
actually, I'm curious what you think about the new movies as someone who didn't particularly like the originals. You know, that'd be interesting if you end up watching. I guess we can talk about that another time.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm wondering, the woman in charge of the new trilogy, Kathleen Kennedy.
Right.
So one of the first things that Disney did when they acquired the Star Wars IP is they decanonized all the, I think I said this last time, all the newly established books, novels, games, the expanded universe. They said, nope, none of that makes sense anymore. Like that's not our canon. We're going with something new, which is okay. That's fine. They can do that. They will follow a different timeline, for example. People who want continue, because there is still a lot to love there. I just got sniped at my own spawn point. Yeah. So they decanonize all this. They're going to make the new stuff. That's fine. But then it's. What she ends up doing when people start complaining about the new movies, rightfully so, and then she says, "Oh, there's I guess she's comparing it to, say, Game of Thrones or something, because she says she was on record as saying, "Oh, it's quite difficult writing for these books, is because it's not like there's no books, there's no novels or anything to draw from. We have to write these from scratch," and that seems
like it's not true.
it seems deliberately designed to piss people off almost. Because, firstly, yes, there were many, many books, thousands of novels established there to draw from. There's 6 movies to draw from, which they did. It just sounds more like they didn't bother to do their research. 6 movies to draw from, and they not only did they disregard all this, come out and saying like, oh yeah, we couldn't have done this, but then is that not what most movie writers have to do anyway? Just create something from scratch, have an idea, and then write about it, like write a screenplay or whatever. Like that's no excuse by any measure. And on top of all that, they ended up using many plot points established in the books from writers and fans. They stole multiple plot points and ideas from other writers and fans without crediting them, because they're Disney. Who's gonna want to get into a legal battle with Disney? So not only did they complain about there being nothing to draw from, they decanonized everything and then stole from them, and then still complained when people were upset. It's a classic, oh, everyone's wrong but me. I'm not the problem, everyone else is, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
So it feels like they're just trying to build controversy and piss people off because that's good for business, you know?
Yeah.
I say you know a lot. But yeah.
Well, I don't have much to add to that, man. I think you've kind of like...
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's other things you can think of that are like...
What they did with the third one, I was fully expecting to hate the what's it called, The Rise of Skywalker. And again, I don't agree with most of what they did, but to sum up my feelings, I feel like it's the best that J.J. Abrams... It's the best they could have done with what they had, and they had very little to work with. What they ended up doing was, because the second movie was such a flop, they kind of burned everything they had to the ground, and then played it as if like, oh, we've still got something to do, we have hope, do something. And then they was it Rian Johnson did that one, and they ended up firing him. So now they've gone through 2 directors, and they've killed off the big bad. There's a lot. They don't have much to work with anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have any goodwill anymore, and so they go back to J.J. Abrams from the first one after firing him, because did you hear what happened at the end of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I've seen the end of Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Did you hear, as in what happened around it? Like there was a lot of controversy and drama around that.
In regards to what?
So the series starts off quite strong. I hear.
Just to clarify, the topic today is, I guess, Overwatch 2, Star Wars 2. We're talking about I guess the theme is sequels. Now we're going into a little bit of Game of Thrones. So what happened around the time?
Only insofar as it's related, because I haven't seen anything past season 4, so it's not about the series itself per se. But I hear that season 8 started quite strong. A lot of people were very hyped. It was very dramatic. And then what happened was the writers were offered to write Star Wars Episode 8. They were offered to, join. They were offered by Disney the contract to write Star Wars 8, and that was a very specific time frame. So what they did, instead of finishing season 8 of Game of Thrones the way fans deserve, giving the time and effort deserves, and wrapping up everything neatly, they just phoned it in. They hammed it up, and there's a lot of things just didn't make sense. A lot of plot threads just went unraveled.
Untied?
Untied.
They didn't tie things up.
Yeah, exactly. There was no real resolution for a lot of things. Like, oh, what happened with the Children of Horus? Oh, nothing. What happened with this? What happened with this? And then, like, oh, that was... Like, I just hear, like, especially episode 3 onwards, a lot of people acted out of character, a lot of... Basically, it was just a huge disappointment, I hear. Again...
For Game of Thrones?
Game of Thrones, yeah, season 8.
I wasn't particularly disappointed. because I don't feel like I didn't think it was the greatest TV show of all time.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people had high expectations, but I'm sure there's things that, you know, like the comments that you hear, like, oh, I wasted so many seasons and so much time, like the payoff wasn't worth it. Like, I don't know about that, because you know,
you still enjoy it.
You still enjoy it. It gives you something to talk about with your friends or at work or whatever the case is. It gave you something, but just because it didn't end right, I don't think it deserved. Like, I think there was an uproar about rewriting the ending or something.
Yeah, there was a lot of...
Am I confusing that with something else?
Possibly. Again, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to act like I'm an authority on it. But I just know it was disappointing to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of theories.
I know it's and I know it was. You know, again, you enjoy your time with it, but a bad ending can really sour your experience, cause especially when it's been building up to it, and you're like, oh, where's it gonna go? And they didn't give it. From what I can tell, they didn't give it the treatment, and time, and effort it deserved, because they had to go work on Star Wars very quickly.
Yeah.
The funny thing about this is that, so not only did they hand up and ruin that, they ruined one show for this. They started working on Star Wars, and then once they got there and saw what they had to work with, they quit. Oh, this is a nightmare. It's just hilarious. So they gave up that. I mean, they're probably rich. They're set for life. They're probably retired. I don't know what they're doing, but fans were not happy. So yeah, Ryan Johnson was fired. These guys quit, and so Disney went back to J.J. Abrams. Sorry, and please come back. We need your help. We're so sorry. Help me, Ryan Johnson. You're our only hope. Sorry, J.J. Abrams. Damn it. And it was horrible. Like he's a talented guy. That's what I got out of The Rise of Skywalker. It was the best thing he could have come up with based on what was left.
Right. Okay.
So, you know, props to J.J. Abrams for, and they again still don't agree with what did happen, but what was there was quite impressive. And it was also quite sad, because the whole time I was watching, it's like, oh, actually, this is kind of cool. It's an interesting concept. It does definitely nullify a lot of what happened before.
Right.
It makes a lot of things. It does detract from a lot of things. Again, it's kind of milking Star Wars a lot more. You know, beating a dead cat, beating a dead horse, milking a dead cow. Sorry, I nearly mixed my metaphors there.
Milking a dead cow.
Dead cow. No, sorry, beating. Yeah. Anyway, milking a dead horse. Never mind.
No, I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
So is there going to be another trilogy?
I mean, knowing Disney, I wouldn't be bloody well surprised, but they're not gonna. I think people are quite happy to boycott at this point. They don't have much goodwill left. But that was the worst thing about the last movie, is that it gave glimpses of what could have been amazing.
Right.
There was quite a few times I'm like, oh wow, this is actually quite interesting. It's too bad it's coming in at the 11th hour. There's no real time to build up anywhere near as much tension and drama that there could have been. So it just ended up being like, not disappointing, just sad at wasted potential, you know?
Do you think that will be the case for Overwatch 2?
Probably, yeah. I mean, Blizzard does seem to be going the way of Disney in that it's just a faceless corporation and doesn't care about the people. And it's not just this game, but they've made that clear in many of their other IPs.
See, for a casual like me, that's kind of not really invested in Blizzard, aside from Overwatch, like I found that you know, since we paid the retail price for it, we've gotten a lot out of it. So in that sense, I feel like it was worth the money. We had fun, and you know, we're still having fun.
Completely agree. Like it's an enjoyable.
Like, we don't play it all the time. We play it during events and stuff.
Yeah, unless I don't know what they're going to do with the new one, and I haven't heard much hype around it in terms of people. I don't know if people are particularly excited.
So this is what I was skeptical about, right? So
yeah,
does it really need a sequel?
It really doesn't, and I think that's the gist that people that I'm getting from people, is that people are more wondering, why are they doing this, rather than, oh look, they're doing this. Just confusion.
I know. I'm kind of wondering why. Like maybe they increase the amount of characters, but I can't see them. Like you can't remove characters. They've added new characters for this game. They've added new maps. They've given us a lot of free content, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean that was their business model. That was their promise that they were going to do. So
I think that's the thing though. Since the time that Overwatch has come out, there's been so many other, like battle royale games and whatnot.
Yeah.
That are able to like give you a free game, but then kind of monetize. Using that kind of a model.
Yeah.
And I think that's where these guys were like, why don't we do something? I mean, I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's literally going to be very similar, but it will be better optimized for them to make money.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue. Because with this one, it introduced the whole loot crate mechanic for them anyway. And there was a huge backlash in that. And so they're going to have to, like you said, come up with a new business model. Because this isn't sustainable for them anymore. And they don't like things that they're turning all of their intellectual property into cash grabs as much as they can milk it. For example, with StarCraft 2, they're not really adding much content other than to their co-op mode, and you just have to keep like a lot of it's cosmetics and announcers and their co-op modes. You just have to commanders, which again it's content. It doesn't really add to the game at large. It just gives you new ways to play what you're already doing in a way. So it's kind of like they're not really focusing on that one, but it's huge for esports, StarCraft 2. So that's kind of maintaining itself. And then with Overwatch, I don't really know how they earn money on Overwatch, if at all, honestly. So that's probably why they're doing the sequel, but I don't know what they're gonna do.
I think it's a money thing.
Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do differently, because if they can't really do the loot crates anymore, like any differently. They can't really monetize the loot crates because they'll be taxed to hell. So they might just make it similar to Fortnite, where you can just straight up buy cosmetics. They have
I mean, I guess time will tell, but I mean that's the only reason I think. And I think when it comes to like, I've talked about it briefly before, but like with mobile games, they kind of ruined gaming. Like I don't know.
No,
it's
really
more
did.
focused on attention and grind than it is actual skill and gameplay. And obviously with that comes, how they monetize that. Big Hempy in the chat says the way Overwatch 2 would get me to buy it is to give us a story mode telling the story of how Overwatch was formed and was disbanded. That's a really good
That would be
idea.
interesting. Yeah, but they should have done that to begin with. Like that's what this game should be. I would love to see like the actual history.
Did they not do it in the shorts? Because I've seen like I want to say half of them.
Yeah, those were cool. I love those shorts. They're visually, cinematically beautiful, and they do a good job building a story.
It's up there, isn't it? It's like a Disney production almost when it comes to like animation. Or
yeah, it's why I don't know why they don't just add the shorts to the game. You have to go external to the game to get the content.
I mean, I don't mind that as much because it's kind of like it's a way for them to kind of get it out there. Like, 2 hours long, and they also have this thing on YouTube, which is kind of like a vlog / it's got some storytelling in there, but they build story using their YouTube channel where they do like a 20-minute video, and it's mainly just gags and behind-the-scenes stuff and like breaking kayfabe and just jokes and whatever else. But there's bits in there that kind of builds. It's extra content that kind of builds towards a story. But then there'll be weeks on actual television where they have a 2-hour show and they'll introduce something that they expect you to already know due to pre-existing like lore in the YouTube series, and it shoulders that sometimes, and it just doesn't make sense. Like I kind of
see that makes sense. It's building on. It's like you go home, do your homework if you really care about it, but you don't have to if you don't have the time. So, but there's nothing in the game to build on. There's literally nothing in the game that is shouldering that. All the actual story is online. There's like maybe some lines in the game where they talk about each other, but none of this is canon. All these
Maybe
matches,
they didn't
all
know
these
what they had on
contracts-
their hands.
But they could have. Like they could still build that. They could have had a story mode. They could have had a mission mode. They had Robot Rebellion, for example, which I think Tracer's first mission as part of Overwatch, which sounds cool. Like it's some history, and what else? They haven't really done much else. But again, they didn't have an intro cinematic. They could try. They could put some effort in. It's like they don't care about the game.
Yeah.
So if they do that with the second one, actually build the universe that they took such huge pains to build up. Those animations can't be cheap, and they're good. People love them. They have millions of views. If they did something similar to that, like in game, just kind of rather than shouldering the game's content with external stuff, it's more like the game is shouldering the content that is external.
Big Hempy says they hint at things in the shorts, but there was a part in time when Overwatch was fighting the Omnic Crisis and then battled Talon. I mean, they could do a whole story based on D.Va. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Going from being a professional gamer into joining the fight in the Omnic.
It could be a TV series. Like there's enough there. It'd be amazing. I would love to see these characters in action. It's a fascinating world they've built. It's just, for example, if I only played this game, I would have absolutely no idea who these people are.
Yeah, aside from what they do.
Yeah, like there's a short blog for each one. Like there's like 3 or 4 lines, and that's the extent of the history.
Yeah.
This is a fascinating world. I want to enjoy it. I'm not saying this because I'm trying to be like overly critical. It's like I want to see more of this. It's just it's not there.
Yeah, I totally. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, like there's a huge disconnect between. There's always going to be a disconnect between story and gameplay, but that doesn't mean that the game itself has to be disconnected from the story.
I mean, there's a lot they can do with it. I was just mainly concerned about the ongoing costs, let's say, of Overwatch 2.
And it's also, why aren't they adding these things to the game itself? If they have the time and money to build a brand new game, why not just upgrade what they have? Because then they can't monetize it. So that is the crux of it. It is purely for money. And I know they're a business, but it could be done better.
I mean, I'd like to see like some more story about Roadhog and Junkrat, like something about maybe how they became the way they became.
Yeah, that's great.
Mainly because my main right now is Roadhog.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of cool stories to be told here.
Yeah, I think you can do Junkrat and Roadhog as a combined story because they see again, kind of to your point, like they are aligned or they're partners, but no one knows why or how.
Yeah,
I think they're both from Australia, is it? Or I think Junkrat is.
That's the general gist. That they're partners in crime. We don't know why, how, where, what.
Yeah, and Big Hempy says, and the whole deal with the Junkers, yeah. Because there's a Junker skin for D.Va as well, I believe.
Oh yeah, and again, like, did she join them, or is it just a cool little thing they do?
I don't know. I don't see how that would work, because obviously...
Yeah. It's like, why would you downgrade your mech? So I know a lot of things are just cosmetic. It's that's fine. It's cool.
Okay, so sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I'm done. Go ahead.
I was saying one thing I saw about Overwatch was a comic book. So it's like a deluxe edition in Forbidden Planet.
Oh yeah. I know that they released a comic book online as well, similar to what Team Fortress 2 did, which seems to be. I don't know,
it is very Team Fortress 2, and I don't know much about it, but.
Yeah, like that was what a lot of people were wondering as well. When it first came out, I was like, oh, it's Team Fortress 2 with more colourful, I guess, more characters, and people worrying if it was going to be like just a copy, but it came into its own. Like they have a lot of unique characters, and it's different enough that it doesn't feel just like a clone.
Stop him! Stop this guy! stop this fake roadhog.
Here's the false roadhog.
Ah, never mind. So Big Hempy says they have comics on the Overwatch homepage, all the shorts and the comics. So there's a deluxe edition which I saw.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is so
good?
cool. Do you see that?
Yeah.
It's a meme, isn't it? That when the hamster turns around, that's really cool.
Yeah. Dramatic gerbil.
Dramatic gerbil, yeah. But yeah, apparently they have the shorts and the comics on the website.
Again, why don't they have them in the game? Like you could read them between matches when you're waiting.
That'd be cool. That'd be nice.
Yeah. They could put them like just little snippets of like big events in the loading screens. You know, just like at this time this happened. Like the Zenyatta, kicked his friend in the face at this point, and then now the longer just little snippets of Overwatch history, just here and there. But it's like they're actively avoiding building the story in the game,
Yeah.
They're just like doing the bare minimum. It's like, we'll add a new map, we'll add a new character, and that's it. And that seems to be the attitude they've had with a lot of their IPs. Or like just recently.
So what else do they do?
So they now they're Activision Blizzard, which they've become like the new EA of games.
Yeah.
In that it's more run by publishers than people trying to make games. So it's all about the bottom line. So most recently, this last week. Anyway, very recently they did. Have you heard of World of Warcraft?
I have, yeah.
So that game is an MMO based on a strategy game called Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. It was recently 3, which is, I want to say 15 to 20 years ago. Like it's an older game.
Yeah.
But it still holds up really well, and it's got a huge following. It's one of the most popular games of all time. It still has a large following in terms of esports, modding, people playing Warcraft 3 Classic, as it's now known.
Yeah.
So then when Blizzard announced that they were going to remaster it, call it Warcraft 3 Reforged, people were excited. It's like, oh great, because people have been modding it, giving it HD patches, and trying to redesign it, for years now. Just make it update the whole thing, bring it into the new decade, I guess.
Yeah.
So then Blizzard were like, okay, look, yeah, we'll take this one, we'll do our own one. They released a lot of cool footage. Like we're gonna remaster all the cutscenes, gonna redo all the, make everything look nice, redo all the, just modernize it. Like there were little things like you could only select, I think, 12 or 16, I can't remember exactly, characters at a time. So you'd have to like get lots and lots of groups. You couldn't really mass troops effectively. And then they had the same thing with StarCraft 1 when they made StarCraft 2. They made it almost limitless. You could have up to like 200 groups, units in one go. And it's like, oh great, it's much easier to manage. Lots of little improvements like that they're going to bring to Warcraft 3,
Right, okay.
And then it's come out as one of the... I think it's... Just to put it into perspective, it's got, I think, the new record lowest score on Metacritic ever. Because of...
someone was talking about that, I think, the other day.
Oh yeah, because it's so... Not only is it low effort, but they've actively tried... It feels like they've actively tried to just destroy people's faith in it. So there's you can play Classic from within the new one. But, so if you don't like the new one, and there's a lot wrong with it, then you can still play the old one. But... that doesn't work either, and now you can't own the original one if you bought the new one. So not only does it like prevent you from playing the older, it locks you out of. So you can't even enjoy the old one effectively anymore. And I think it's probably to do with one of the main cock-ups they did. The main menu runs really slowly, and people were like, "Oh, why does it run slowly?" Turns out it's a separate application altogether that is taking up something like 1.5 CPU cores just to run separately, and it's lagging at like 150 frames. Like, it's just, why does a main menu need one, like 1.5 CPUs on its own?
That's a
You know?
very
It's
good
just one of
point.
those weird. Yeah, it's like a freaking browser. Well, it's not optimized at all, and it's purely to prevent people from cheating. And if people are going to want to cheat, they're going to do it anyway. This is just hurting the actual customers, of which they had many. So many people pre-ordered this. So many people were excited for this. And yeah, all that footage I mentioned before as well, that people were excited for. The actual product ended up nothing like that. It's very dumbed down compared to what they offered, and we know we're used to that.
Yeah, I remember now. It was Sam was telling me about this, my mate, and
Right.
he was saying that they didn't give you anything that they should have or that they promised, and then they said something like in a statement that we apologize that what you were expecting, was what you were expecting was not what the thing we were gonna make, or something along those lines.
Yeah, like something very like, oh, we're sorry that you expected something that we weren't going to deliver anyway. Like it wasn't our fault that we hyped it up.
Yeah.
Because this on YouTube, there's like side-by-side comparisons of what they said they were going to, like this is like the actual trailer they offered, and how different it is to the actual movie that comes out. And it's just so blatant and scummy, you know? And that's not even a fraction of what's wrong with it. When when people tried to refund the game, and people in the forums they were like, oh, how do I go about the refund process? And other users would help them refund, like, oh, go here, do this and this. Those users who were helping them, providing advice on how to refund the game, they got banned for giving out refund.
I heard about that. Yeah.
What is this? Some kind of fascist
Hold
Chinese
on,
state?
give me a second. Give me a second, yeah. I want to actually get someone to add into this.
People have been modding the game and upgrading it for years, and it's perfectly viable. Like, it runs better, it looks better, plays better. It wasn't necessary. Or what they could have done, which companies have done before, is just hire the people making the mods, give them official blessing.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, Victor was just explaining, what was it? Sorry.
Warcraft 3 Reforged, or as come now known, Warcraft 3 Refunded.
Okay, Sam, can you hear me?
I've read about this. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Hello
so
there.
I believe it was Sam that was telling me about this. You have joined mid-rant, yeah, and I was like, this sounds very familiar to something someone's told me about recently. Sorry, Victor, continue.
What was I saying?
So basically, they didn't deliver what they promised, and then they said, well, your expectations were wrong, or something.
Not by a lot. Yeah, they tried to pawn it off as like, oh, it's not our fault. That was your fault for getting your hopes up in the wrong way. And then, but there's side-by-side comparisons of this is what we're going to offer, and this is what we got.
It was super shitty. I mean, like, just dealing with the way that they dealt with it. Like, without just coming out and saying, like, yeah, we didn't have the manpower, or development was difficult, or whatever, and this is what we're having to deliver, or whatever, and just be positive. Never mind the fact that it also broke a load of other stuff in the original game.
This is also the same company that during the Hong Kong Revolution, one of their they banned someone from their tournament for supporting that revolution.
BltzStrong.
That was it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I kind of heard about that one. Yeah.
And that was really bad. The Hearthstone stream, he said freedom to Hong Kong or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then he got banned indefinitely, and then the two broadcasters also got banned. Well, he got banned for like 12 months or something from professional streamers.
This is like almost his livelihood in a way. Like, this is not just a hobby for him.
His job, yeah.
Yeah. How can you get banned from your job, you know? For a political statement.
And there's one reason only banned it. It's because of China.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want all those dollars.
So this is the same thing we were just talking about, Sam, is just the fact that, like... So we kind of started by talking about, like, continuation of Star Wars. And why Victor is a fan but doesn't like the last trilogy that came out. And then we were talking about Overwatch 2. and why they need an Overwatch 2. And like my feeling is that it's just a way to better monetize, you know, on a franchise where I don't think they knew what they had on their hands to begin with, and then they kind of made all of these things available. And I think with the new game, we were just saying, like, I don't think they'd have many characters removed, but then maybe they'd add some, or maybe they'd focus on the story, or, you know. But I think the main thing is going to be monetizing more efficiently.
Yeah, like, the hope would be they actually add some decent content, but the reality is they'll just, you know, it'll just be a cash grab.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be very similar to Overwatch 1. A bit more polished, a bit more updates, and some cosmetic changes, and then, yeah, more effective monetization.
Yeah, because they can't change it too much, or, you know, people have to like, oh, why did they change my favorite character or whatever, so they can't afford to do that, so they're not going to bother. They're not going to afford to do anything risky and new.
Yep.
And they've actively avoided adding story in this game, so why start now?
Well, I think there's going to be some kind of, like, campaign-y thing, because they showed it off.
I hope so. But again, they promised that in Warcraft 3 as well and didn't deliver, so...
Yeah, I know, whether or not it will happen. But I think, like, Overwatch is going to be a bigger thing than the remaster of...
I hope so, yeah, because this is where the money is.
Yeah,
I really don't think they're going to add, like, too much. I think it's just literally going to be a different structure, and probably they'll stop doing the events for Overwatch 1.
Yeah, they'll phase it over to the other one.
Yeah, they'll just let it die.
So it's kind of like when you get that firmware update, or there's a new phone out, and it's like, yeah, we're just going to stop and leave you here at really bad firmware. I can see that happening.
On slightly Overwatch news, have you seen that they're making a COD league, like an Overwatch league?
No.
Huh.
What's that
Yeah,
about?
it's like a 25 million buy-in, I think.
Jesus.
Sam, do you want to jump into Overwatch?
Yeah, I'll do.
Okay.
Brilliant.
So what is it? Is it a documentary or something?
What?
Did you say it was like a doc? What was it?
No, like, so you know, like Overwatch League.
Yeah.
So, like, but a COD version of that, so there'll be like teams around the world and they'll play each other and do their things.
Was that not already a thing? Or
no?
I mean, there were COD esports, but there wasn't something of that level.
No, I think they've seen what how successful that, or certain amount of success that they've.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm gonna be unprofessional and grab some tea. I'll leave the shoulder of the conversation to you for a moment.
It's 5 minutes of silence.
It is kind of sad because Blizzard used to be one of my favorite companies. Like, even if I didn't play, for example, all of their IPs, it's still like, oh, I can appreciate that. You know?
Yeah.
I only got into, say, Diablo 3 recently, and I had a good enough time. Like, it's got a good presentation, but when it was
Diablo 2, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And people are worried that because they got Diablo 4 coming out, it's like, oh, maybe this one will be Diablo 2. But I don't hold out hope.
No, and also like the issue with a lot of Bethesda games, Blizzard games, is that like they showed off some of the Diablo 4 partly because of the backlash because of Immortal.
That's another fiasco altogether. Geez.
Tone deaf announcement.
Yeah.
But then they said like because I saw some streamers who had played some of it and tested some of it and stuff and said like it's years away from being anything. Have you played Path of Exile?
I have.
What do you think to it?
It's what Diablo should have been, really.
Yeah. And like, consider it's a free game, because I played it on PlayStation. So much better. Like the monetization in it is so minimal and so fair.
And they're still making money.
Yeah.
But it's
on a small little thing in New Zealand, like.
Yeah, it's crazy. And as such it's got a growing fan base as well, and they keep pushing out like new content.
And the second one's going out soon, I think.
Beautiful.
I think certainly their kind of partnership or kind of whatever it is with Activision they've got now hasn't helped them that side of them.
Yeah, it's being publisher led. They're being led by the nose rather than like let's make good games. It's like let's make money.
Yeah, similar kind of what Ubi's done now, and the fact that they've gone.
They've
gone a very Ubisoft way, but just making clone games. Like, I didn't play the new Ghost Recon, was that it?
They all actually look the same.
Mhm.
Weird.
Yeah. And then just, again, the monetization, they just try and crowbar the same monetization structure into all games. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's just
'Cause
become
it's either-
formulaic.
Yeah, it's either gross or it just is redundant. Like, there's just no point. Whereas the point in the new Ghost Recon, like, it's just game breaking. Like, you just pay to unlock things quicker.
Which, again, people are voting with their wallets, so people are paying for it, and it's working. Then it's who's more at fault at that point? But it's still sad that they're still bringing that kind of thing out.
Yeah, it is. But then you see like things like with Jedi Fallen Order and stuff with EA and how fucking awful EA been. But they've released a single player game that, granted, should have been in development longer. I don't think it was ready. They've just finished it. It's
Nice.
not what it should be. But like, it sold loads, and there's no monetization in it. It's just literally a game you can play and finish, and then but no.
That's how it should be. But that's not enough for them.
Yeah.
Big Hempy in the chat is saying, like how Ubisoft charges $40 a year to get new characters. That somehow each session with Rainbow Six Siege. I think
Yeah, and then also now is Six Siege has done a timed exclusive with Stadia, haven't they?
Ha, Stadia.
I know, like Jesus.
Has it stopped lagging yet?
No, of course
I
not.
don't think so.
It's not there.
But they've got quantum computing. Surely they'll be fine.
But
And
again, the
4K
actual
streaming,
infrastructure in
don't
it is
forget, 4K.
fine. Like, it's functional. They just shouldn't have charged people for it.
Yeah.
They should have just done it for free and then said, like, you get all these things for free, launch with that first, and said, but you can pay and get these extra things.
Yeah. Just like that's what drug dealers have been doing successfully for years. You get them hooked first, then you charge them.
I think that's exactly it. Like that's how it's shifting now.
Let's see, who we got on our team, by the way?
So I'm Roadhog, Sam is Bastion. Big Hempy invited you to the Discord, Sam, but I kind of told him yesterday. I was like, Sam's not really a big Discord person, but I'll ask him. So.
Thank you very much, but no, I don't tend to use it very much.
He's more into order.
But I will try and stop in your stream because you seem like a very nice man.
Yeah, Big Hempy's.
He is very nice.
Did you guys hear that one of the co-founders of Rockstar is leaving the company? I did. I actually read about it today.
Who?
Dan Houser is leaving.
Dan Houser's leaving?
Yeah. I think the other Houser is still there, though. He's still in the same role. And he's going to continue doing whatever it was he was doing. But that's that's big news. There's a lot of changes, isn't there? Like, obviously, with even the head of PlayStation, it was Shu, right? Now it's Herman Hulst. I have a feeling Xbox has a good chance of taking the next gen. Like, I don't know why, I just get a feeling.
And I think, like, if you look at all generations, the biggest indicator about who wins the generation is just developers. That's all it is. It's just what games are on what platform. And from what we've seen so far, I don't know if this is how true it is, but it seems easier to develop games on PlayStation than it does on Xbox. I think they do have a chance with kind of leaning more into the kind of the PC side of stuff now, because a lot of PC gaming is getting bigger.
We're talking about gaming.
Hey, PC gaming is getting big, just purely because it's streaming.
It's huge. Yeah. So much easier.
I've got my ult, by the way.
And if we talk about exclusivity, like, PC wins hands down.
Big MP, sorry, hey, I'm a PC gamer. I'm like, yeah, I know. But you're gonna have
surrounded
to
by PC games.
You're gonna have to get used to these Moisms about PC gaming and TurboTax.
He's just teasing.
Why be a PC gamer now when you could just buy Stadia?
That's a good point. Yeah, never thought
That's a
about that.
very good point. We should all switch right now and clog up their servers.
Wait, what is going on with Stadia? What was the latest? 'Cause I know after everything that happened, I was like, did it get better? Did it get worse?
It didn't get better.
I haven't heard anything.
They're not releasing games for it. Basically, it's still, I think, as equally as unstable as it was before. They're losing loads of people actually playing who are actually on it.
Right. Okay.
It's just not ready. I don't know, like, because they don't really have a competitor for that kind of thing yet. So I don't know why they didn't just take the time and get it right.
The other thing is they're not doing anything new. They're not bringing anything that kind of revolutionizes the, like it's not nothing that you need. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that's a necessity or something that makes playing. Well, it was supposed to make the next step towards like streaming games, but it doesn't. It's not a necessity.
Yeah, like VR. That's a new realm.
It's a new way to play. Yeah, that's basically.
Yeah. Stadia is just there. It's not better than any real current way of playing. It's not revolutionary by any means, and especially when it doesn't really work.
The adverts were hilarious, man. When we look at it now.
Oh yeah. It's very pretentious in a way.
Don't need no stinking console, Big Hempy. Big Hempy, watch those words. You don't want to.
But it's like I was saying before, like they hadn't got the developers or the actual games to back it for its launch. So if you launch a new console or platform or whatever with no games to play on it, who's going to buy it?
Yeah, it's just there. I mean, they've had the same problem before with the Dreamcast with freaking PSP, which all in all was actually a pretty good console. It just didn't really have much backing.
Did you have a PSP? I don't remember.
I did. It was wonderful. Great piece of hardware.
Yeah, I bought a PSP as well. And again, similar thing of why kind of like the Switch is being successful and the PSP isn't. It's because of developers.
Yeah.
Because people are actually making games for it.
Exactly. DS is a much better handheld game console. PSP is more like a portable media device, which, when smartphones came out, you don't even need that.
What is the 3DO? Does that ring any bells for anyone?
3DO?
Yeah. Stadia will be lost to the history books like this 3DO. I don't know what the 3DO was.
No idea. Well, there's what's the site called? There's a website where you can go and look at all the failed Google things.
Museum of crap.
A console that had one game backing it, Gex, the Gecko.
Oh my god, no way.
I've never even heard of that. That sounds like.
What was the other one? That was the set-top box thing that came out, like Ouya, something like that.
Yeah, what was that?
Some failed project. The PS Vita is another one. Like I through
that's actually doing pretty well. Surprisingly, like it's got a very niche audience, let's say, but in that audience, it's doing really well.
Like I'd want to play Persona 4 Golden on it.
Yeah, that's not really the niche.
Yeah,
and
no, but that's the one game that I'd want to play on. I don't know much about PSVR.
Yeah. I'll just say that you can play other Japanese games on it, and that's its niche.
Yeah. Because on Kind of Funny, like Greg Miller's always been an advocate for the PSVR. I've kind of heard about it through that, but I've never actually had one or know much about it or the library. But yeah, Persona 4 Golden is something I'd want to play on there, which I don't know why they didn't make it available on PS4 or they didn't make it available elsewhere.
Yeah.
That was perfect, Sam. That's what you use ice walls for.
And I loved he turned around and was like, oh shit, there's a wall.
That was probably the most perfect display of ice wall I've seen in my history of playing Overwatch. Like I was right there when it happened. It was beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I'm glad I can impress.
Literally just took the flag and then Sam just put a wall up.
Trolling at its finest. I'm gonna try Orisa. Try some of the new characters. Seems really good.
Oh, I just stole a point. I feel bad because Lever did all the work.
Hey, it's all a team effort.
It is. Sam, do you want to weigh in about the Star Wars trilogy, the last 3 films? I don't know how much of a
It doesn't mean and all, because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I just think they've made a lot of missteps with it. Personally, the story doesn't say a lot to me. It seems.
But you've seen the three, haven't you?
I've seen the first two. I haven't seen the
Oh, okay. So we've got someone that's seen the first one. We've got someone that's seen the first two, and then I think Victor's seen all three. Yeah. Overwatch 2. Yeah, I don't think there was a date. It might be 2020, but I don't think there's any indication.
2020.
Okay. I mean, I'd be quite happy to just keep playing this.
Yeah.
Like this and the Division 2, I think it's been well worth the price of admission, so to speak. But
yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I think partly because we
we're playing.
Yeah, that kind of thing you need to play with someone.
But with Division, I think once I finished, I didn't go back. I was kind of done with it. Whereas with Overwatch, I'll kind of come back every now and then.
Yeah, Overwatch is quite a nice casual game, isn't it?
Victor, you haven't played the Fallen Order game, have you?
No, it's on my list. Just not in the most Star Wars mood right now. Yeah, I'm like a parent. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Business, you know?
Yeah, the game. It's good. It's trying to do things. I imagine what God of War would have been like if God of War came out 6 months earlier than it did.
Interesting with that.
Lacks a bit of polish. I don't think the fighting. I think it's an extremely good idea, but it just doesn't execute it quite right because it's animation based rather than button press based.
That's a bit sad.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but Star Wars games tend to never be finished. I think it's $1 billion IP. I don't know why they just can't take the time to just finish it off.
I don't know. I really wish they'll just take it away from EA now.
Yeah.
Let's just go and cherry pick a developer that's got a good idea that we think we can.
Give it to Respawn.
Oh, it was Respawn that did it. Respawn did they?
Yeah, exactly. They've proven they can do a good job. Give them the IP.
But they're owned by EA, aren't they? So.
Oh shite, you're right.
But in fairness to EA, they did get they allowed them to use Epic rather than Frostbite. So that's broken.
Yeah.
So in summary, Star Wars sucks, right? We're all in agreement. It's all led up to this moment for me to just be able to say that. All the discussion.
True Star Wars.
No, I think there's lots of I watched. You seen The Mandalorian?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Amazing. Such a good story.
Yeah.
So well told. Just seeing lots of different kind of aspects of the universe, kind of fleshing out some bits more of the kind of Mandalorian belief system.
They've made a brand new story for a new generation and the old. There's a lot there there's a lot of Easter eggs, there's a lot of cool characters, and it's the perfect time zone as well. It's just really well done, and it's clearly a labor of love, which is important as well. When I hear things, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I just think the main story kind of, I don't know, for me it went along the formula of the original one a little bit too much. Being about a girl that doesn't know she's got powers, finds out she's got powers.
Yeah, it's like it's like, oh, we're going to do something new. By doing something new, we're going to do something maybe 10% new, and the rest is, the old one, but without any effort. Just gonna steal the limelight away. They because new Disney. Disney's new Star Wars. They have the new Stormtroopers, so they don't have any of the old props. So for when the Mandalorian, when they were filming Mandalorian, they didn't have enough old Stormtrooper gear.
Oh, really?
So instead of finding it, buying it, or making it, or whatever, because Disney didn't have it, they weren't going to shell out for it. So instead, they actually went to a fan group called the 501st Legion, which is a group of guys in Stormtrooper. It's like a fan club for Star Wars, and they're all in Stormtrooper gear. And they go to conventions. They're just big hardcore Star Wars fans, and there's like hundreds of members. So they actually approached them, like, hey, do you want to be in the series, as our Stormtroopers? And they're like, hell yeah! So it worked out for everyone. Yeah, like the fans got to be part of like true Star Wars history, and everyone's happy.
So I heard quite an interesting fact today about they actually lost the original robe for Obi-Wan. They didn't know where it went. So obviously when they first made the first Star Wars, obviously didn't know it was going to be as big as a hit as it has been.
Oh yeah.
And all the props were bought from a prop place in London that still does, I think, most of the props for a lot of Hollywood films. And and then the robe that Alec Guinness used, they didn't know where it went. It just kind of disappeared. And it was actually used in lots of other films. It's in The Mummy, for example.
Oh my god, I know which one it is exactly just from that. Oh, that's fantastic.
And then eventually they kind of went, oh yeah, this is it.
Yay, they found it.
So now it's kind of like taken out of kind of circulation.
So now it's back in a museum where it belongs. Oh, that's really cool. Thank you for that. Kind of funny. Alec Guinness, for him it was just a paycheck. He's like, he didn't like Star Wars. He was like, it's just. But he said one thing. He was like, I know it's going to be famous though. Like, he had that sense. That's why I'm happy. He was smart. He got royalties instead of just a straight payout, and like he was just rich until the day he died.
Yeah, unlike Sean Connery with Lord of the Rings.
Oof, yeah,
he turned down Gandalf.
Probably for the better.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Like,
they offered him like a lot of royalty and stuff. I think they offered him like something like a percentage of the box office.
That's mad. Death for life, far more than he already is. I still don't understand how someone can, say, do a movie, get like 1 million, 2 million, 50 million or whatever, and like, where does it go? What do they do with it? What? How can, like, why would you need to do another movie other than, you want to?
Yeah, and that's the thing. What I don't get is like why actors do bad films when they make that much money. I know the fact that obviously like films is difficult to predict what's going to be good and what's not.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways, obviously, points of films are made. But then when there's some films you think, like, why attach yourself to anything Michael Bay makes?
Yeah.
Because he makes very commercially
grade.
successful films, but shitty ones.
Yeah. I guess it's, if he's famous, if he's famous for good or better or worse, you kind of want to be attached to that. It's like, let's just tick off the bucket list.
Profile in there as well, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. At least you're out there.
Well, I think it was Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise made 150 million from the first 2 Mission Impossibles alone.
Jesus.
Wow, that is a lot of bank.
That's crazy. Yeah. Why would you?
In box office.
Why would you not just retire? Like, I know that's probably got like legal fees and stuff to pay. I don't know, divorce.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get all of that, but I mean, still, I mean, like when you've got enough money.
Yeah,
but
I
I assume because they do it because they enjoy it, I guess. But.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I'm hoping that they do it because they want to. It's like, do a job you enjoy and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I think that gets thrown around a lot. You're always working, if anything, but it might not feel like work.
Yeah, that's what it means essentially.
But it doesn't mean it's easy, or it doesn't mean
that's true. It shouldn't be misconstrued as being easy.
And also the fact that there's lots of parts of jobs that you won't like.
Yeah, even if you love the end result.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. like even if, say for example, Warhammer, you love like playing the game, you love building the models, so you love the hobby. You don't enjoy buying the models. You don't enjoy painting, for example. But overall, you still love the hobby.
We might have to do that one day, man. Explain Warhammer. That's been a big thing for you for a long time.
Yeah, I'm starting to get back into it as well. You know, I would be if I had any kind of income at the moment.
Did you guys see the video about the Lego guy?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh yeah, the Republic Attack. Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool guy.
Yeah, that was just really sad with a happy ending.
Yeah. I think I'll cut it off at the bit where I was like, so we're all agreed, Star Wars sucks.
You can have that as the tagline for that show.
Yeah.
Even Star Wars fans agree.
So, Star Wars fans, non-Star Wars fans, casual fans, whatever, for them.
I think my point was the opposite of that, but it's your video. You can follow whatever you like.
It's fine. It sucks. It's fine. Wait, say again. Your point. I was trying to concentrate. Say that again.
My point was kind of the opposite. Like, being a true Star Wars fan, I love Star Wars, and Disney did not handle Star Wars very well.
That's
so
good.
I reject
That's
it.
mainstream. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We're gonna lose in 3, 2, 1.
There we go. And that was your pod stream about Star Wars defeat. There we go. I do like the theme when
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Hempy says Disney did a good job with The Mandalorian, in my opinion. Did Disney do it? Or was it?
They allowed it to
Okay.
happen. More to say. It was Jon Favreau, I believe, who also
Mr.
did
Marvel.
Iron Man.
Yeah, he was the showrunner on it, wasn't he?
Yeah. It's like, just give
he's
Star Wars
Happy
to
Hogan,
him.
right? Is that him? Or is
Yeah,
that someone
exactly. Yeah.
And Taika Waititi did the last episode, I think. Was
Yeah. See, just give it to them. They know what they're doing. They know how to have fun. They like Star Wars.
They should let me make one.
That would be interesting, but no.
Oh man, I would just job everyone out.
So, what's the difference with you and Disney in that regard then?
I'm intentionally doing it.
So what's the difference with you and Disney in that regard then?
They think they're making money. I just don't care. I literally. Well, I guess you have a point. Yeah.
Well, that's the sad thing. They are making money, but it's like short-term game versus long-term, endeavors. They don't care about leaving a good legacy for Star Wars. They just want their monies.
Yeah, this is one of the things we talked about before. Was like there's going to be a lot of kids growing up, and this is what Star Wars is to them. I guess.
Yeah. So it's more propaganda than anything.
yeah.
So they have the next outfit to wear for Halloween, or they have, whatever. I think it's literally like.
I mean, you can argue that's pretty much exactly what George Lucas did it with the prequel as well. I mean,
True.
he made merchandise in that film.
Yeah. But he loved what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like he wanted
I
to
think
make
the other thing is that it was like one vision. It was his kind of.
Yeah, that's the thing. He had the trilogy planned for the most part.
Whereas with now, they probably have to have a lot of people coming up with like creative and stuff, or a few people at least.
Have we just played CTF Blitz the whole time?
I think we have, yeah. We haven't done anything else.
Didn't even realize. It's quite simple to play. Like, regular capture flag, it takes a while. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, it's kind of. I don't know about going back to like regular capture the flag after this. This is like a good pace.
Yeah, it'll just feel like a slog.
Yeah, it's quite nice if just being quick.
Yeah, this kind of gameplay suits Overwatch. It's fast-paced and more action-based.
Big Hempy says, in my opinion, the first two Star Wars movies in this last set were just the original movies, just with different characters.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
with less effort.
Yeah, and also, like, I just didn't care about the characters.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a shit about Rey. Just a bit dingy.
Yeah, she didn't have any kind of there was no redeeming character qualities either. It's like instead of like showing us, oh yeah, she's a Force adept. She's naturally strong. She's got raw talent, and she's strong in this regard. She's also good at ships and all that. It's like just kind of tell us she is a good character. Trust us.
Yeah, I very much got that. I think even like do you play the Unleashed games?
Oh yes, love them.
Like that did a much better story of kind of like telling someone who was that kind of character who was naturally very powerful, but also the kind of confliction involved between.
Yeah, and that game was over the top, like arcadey style, and they still managed to make it, human. They tried.
I think the one Star Wars game I played was the one I borrowed off you. What was it? The Bounty Hunter.
That was also pretty good. Again, good story.
Was that PS2?
PS2, yeah.
I want Knights of the Old Republic turned into a movie. What is Knights of the Old Republic?
Jesus, I would say it's arguably the best Star Wars game, or at least best received. And I mean, there's two of them, but it's more like part 1, part 2 in a way.
Yeah.
They are RPGs set in like 4,000 years before the Star Wars movies. So it's like it can have the same feel, but it's an entirely different story. And it's set during the Sith Wars, or just after the Sith Wars, for example. So it's got a lot of similar themes, but entirely different story. And it has multiple, like about 100 hours worth of story to like just build up the characters and the universe, and it's just really well done. A lot of people love it. When they brought up part 1, it was great. When they brought up part 2, they weren't given time to finish it, and then there was never a part 3. So that's kind of the general gist of.
Yeah.
Okay.
People really like it.
There's talks about them remaking it or doing something with it now. There's rumors that somewhere in EA this one's.
So again, the idea is good. Not too happy with who's doing it, but we'll see.
Who's doing it?
I don't think we know yet, or if we do, I don't know. But it's just
generally
EA. Yeah, just in the current climate.
Yeah, there'll be some kind of loot chests or FIFA monetization involved.
I blame mobile gaming. Like,
yep, absolutely.
That's just since we've had these like I'll give an example. So like Marvel Clash of Champions. Like, have you ever played that? That's like the perfect example, where it's a fighting game supposedly, but you don't actually use any skill to fight or anything. It's more about your power levels, and then that's determined by grinding. And obviously your grinding and how much money you put into getting certain ISO and whatnot is just the way to kind of speed up your leveling. So you're just chasing this like dangling carrot.
It's just pay to win.
Yeah. So I think that's where it kind of originated at first. And then obviously there's like research done into how they actually use like the way they use gambling mechanics is very similar to like in Vegas where they have the way they design the game is to get you addicted, and
Exactly.
to get you invested and to kind of take up your time. And I think that's kind of how it shifted over to console and other like PC gaming and whatnot.
Yeah, because they realized how much money it was, and it wasn't regulated as a gambling industry, so they could get away with it, and then that kind of bit them in the ass in the end.
Well, it's the reason why the CEO of EA is the CEO, because he's the person who came up with the idea of FIFA's monetization with the cards and stuff. What is it called? The thingy club,
Ultimate Teams, is it?
That's it, Ultimate Team. So that's why they then now introduce that in all different things. But it makes them like $1 billion a year alone, just off the actual Ultimate Team. Nothing else.
Like it's a good business model.
Yeah.
In terms of that, but it's definitely insidious.
It's horrible. Yeah.
So
it's disgusting.
do we take that one step further back and say, let's just blame Pokemon?
But Pokemon is different though, because Pokemon you have an actual granted, you're buying cards and like the actual value of them doesn't mean much, but if you're actually a proper collector, you actually have a product to keep. If you spend a few grand on Ultimate Team, literally in 12 months' time it'll be obsolete.
That's very true.
Because there'll be a new game out. And you don't have that thing, you can't sell it on, it has no other value. Whereas if you had like a mint condition Charizard from the original set, that would still be worth like 50 quid or whatever it is worth now, but like you get money out of it.
300.
There you go, 300.
Nice.
But yeah, no, that's totally true, man.
I gotta head off.
Yeah, all right, cool, man. We'll catch up with you later.
Nice to meet you, Victor.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for joining.
All right, so
I enjoyed our discourse.
Yeah, there'll be more to come.
It was pleasurable.
Absolutely. Look forward to next time. Take care, guys.
See you next week.
See you later,
Bye.
Cheers.